Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Today na number 29 day for this month for March, for May 2024. My name na Capo Daniel. Una own countryman, sense past king. Una welcome for this another episode for our daily podcast. We will start them in a hurry because it over long, like the one for yesterday. We do want to put out the complete Zoom meeting. We'll get them with our international partner them as we build up for the big meeting. We'll get them for United Nations for be able for lobby countries them over 30 countries. Then they would engage them for see how they fit support Ambazonia and their own position for inside a solution for this our struggle with La Republic. As we talk, make no Ambazonia activists, no group, make you no miss this historic moment, but make them put aside every differences and put our people them first for join we into this quest. So our number will be open for them to engage with us. We go try also for the engage so that maybe we'll join together for here for Canada for decide how we will go. We will send out the invitation by this weekend, but make them fit engage with us also so that maybe we'll prepare. I go run on some small briefing them before I get for that audio. The first one I say we don't get 3 attack them for school. When I remember as I be the day for with ADF, I be the warn our people them make we not ever attack school. But any school way he put Cameroon flag, any school way they teach, where they allow Cameroon protection, that particular school, the proprietor they go be held responsible, but make Ambazonian soldier not ever enter for school ground. It be unfortunate. Say as we don't turn back, we don't get attacked them for school for we get the one for Oko, for Atina for GTC. Oko, we get one for Bui, we get one for Bamenda, where they attack picking the way they go for GCE. When I remember, even Tawa Abide Wayabacho, Abidan 4CE command it stand for talk the policy. So we only stop thing we will then provide an alternative. We know if you talk me while picking them, they no write GCE, we will never get an alternative for GCE. Cameroon, their public exam, it did the same like foreign exam where we write them for Nigeria or whether they write them for Ghana or for Cameroon, all those certificates they be accepted across Africa. So during time for exam, because we never get an alternative, we're supposed to allow the exam they make it go on for designated area them. Asabi don't always fight make it day for our country. So we get attacked for school them, we want for condemn that attack them, say no be attack where we supposed to carry them out, it push our struggle now for back. We need to focus on goal-oriented attacks, no be just attack for stupidity. If we need to arrest any school proprietor, we violate our laws them, we arrest them, but we no fit attack school. The attack will happen for inside Bamenda. He also where ADF go throw a grenade for St. Frederick. He don't kill one student die for day. Plus the 36 people that don't die for ADF. Now number 37 people then this way ADF it don't kill them for Ayabacho. Those people na human beings, then get graveyard them, then get die body the way they don't put them for inside mortuary. 37 people for this year alone and counting where they don't kill them for Ayabacho a name. So no be something that we ignore them. And I want to talk say if they from the proprietor who don't talk and people they surround the school, they attack St. Frederick now because they never still pay money. It always boil down for the same pay money. The people in St. Frederick, they the one who ask them for Ayabacho, say why they no go attack the school where they for GBHS in Tamolung, where they be the right exam for the way Cameroon military be there for the where be closer to their own barracks. Why the Levan can attack not only St. Frederick for the whole Bamenda. Now because St. Frederick, if we deny for pay money this year, you no get anything to do with the struggle. Once again, the same thing, the same time, the same name for group. So, but that one will not go focus on that one. We want to put out the message where people they understand. We don't also hear Amber News line. It don't announce say our forces them for they arrest some Cameroon government delegates them. The ADF that announced the same thing. But we don't talk for the people, the soldiers, and the tell we say that NGO member them way they work for some cooperative where they work for UNDOP. They provide manure, they provide this type of things them. Now say they do this job, no be Cameroon government delegates. We don't appeal me they release those people them as soon as possible without collecting any money from them. So fellow Ambazonians, I go allow and I'm going to listen for the rest of the audio for the Zoom meeting. This organization is a United Nations based organization where they run the hell we for reach out for state party them, so that make our voice go far. We want make all Ambazonian groups and be able to engage with them one-on-one as we prepare for camp for the face-to-face meeting where it could take place for here for Canada. We now succeed for get sponsorship for the meeting, so they go sponsor and state support, so that all people who go come for the meeting, they go provide them with access for here for Canada. So we're gonna listen the audio, we're gonna listen very, very carefully, even though they release and because some people they will record and release them. He also give our population an opportunity for here, get a window for which way the international community they think, because this our international partner that are engaged state party, then for we, it will give a very big pool for information where it will help we empower our people then with the knowledge for be capable for make up their mind on their own and shape their opinion as well. God bless you now all. Capo Daniel signing off.
Unlike us, they were marginalized. Unlike us, they were pushed to a point where they resorted to freedom by fighting. Unlike us, the war took a lot of lives to the point where 30% of the population was killed. Unlike us, alliances changed. One fighting group fought against the other, then the other fighting group would then align with the government of Papua New Guinea to fight against the other. So unlike us, it took several years and people got disillusioned. In the end, they ended up with a plan called Peace by Peaceful Means, which called for all parties to sit down and find out the best way out of it. Fortunately, while I was learning that we have somebody also from West Cameroon or Ambazonia, he was working for the United Nations as a UN ambassador, and he was in part of the solution team. When our problem and the war started at home, I tried with him to appeal to the voice of reason. But at that time, I think the will to fight and die was much stronger than the will to listen. And so we were drowned out. So when I became aware of the People's Right Advocative Platform, I became an evangelist for it. And I thank you for the effort everybody here is bringing to the table. I will return to the chairperson or the vice chair, but if required, I'll make some more comments later. And by the way, my name is Richard Morpho, and I'm living in just outside of Melbourne, Australia.
Wow, that was wonderful. I'm learning something from this meeting. Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation. Thank you for your time. So we move forward. If there are no questions, we are asking if you are not cleared, because, Chair, I have a question which I would like you to, maybe you can explain a little better on the cessation of hostility. Like, what assurance can you give our fighters who are still out there? Because you know there are two parties in this conflict. And if one other party is saying that, okay, I have to hold my gun to my chest, and the other party, you know, is still moving with a gun, of course, the other one who has hold the gun in chest is typically a victim. So what assurance, what method or procedure security have you put in place that when they put their gun in their chest and they hold the cessation, they will be guaranteed that they will not be killed? Thank you, sir. If you can explain a bit further.
Yes, that has been a very, very tough decision for us to make as an organization, because we know for sure, based on our interaction with the international communities over these years and with us as an organization when we started this journey, that it was almost impossible for us to get people like the ICO to be comfortable, even though they want to help us when we are in hostility. So there are two things. One of the reasons that we announced the hostility, or we decided to end hostility and choose a peaceful path as an organization, was part of our journey to have a positive effect on the international community and to get people to listen to us and to give us that voice to be able to speak on behalf of our people. That also goes in line with our own calculation on the ground. And to address your own your direct question about the security of our soldiers, the soldiers that are working with the dark forces, some of our top commanders have left the theater of war. They have moved out of the theater of war, and we have kept them in a safe location out of the war. There have also been some other forces in Ground Zero who have declared their intention of cessation of hostilities, and we have engaged with the Cameroon state, and we say that this particular force in this particular vicinity want to de-escalate. Because this peace plan paper is not yet official, it does not preclude on official conversation between us and the state party. So we are engaging Cameroon actively. There are 3 areas in Ambazonia which forces in that locality have come out and say we want to de-escalate and pursue the peace plan paper. We want to work with you, Capo Daniel. And we have discussed that with the Cameroon government, and they have accepted that those particular forces will not be engaged, and those forces have promised that they will not engage during this period. So we have on the ground some of the groundworks to lay confidence before we go global. Right now, our cessation of hostility is with our forces only, and it has given us an opportunity to gauge how Cameroon will react. There are also forces that are not our forces that have also engaged. The latest one just came up, I think, just a couple of days ago. I told you it's one of the most active force this year in our territory have also come on board and said that they want to de-escalate. We are in the process with that particular force to engage with the Cameroon, with the state party, and say that we have a force in Ambazonia who want to de-escalate in this area. De-escalation does not mean that they put down their guns or they give their gun to Cameroon government or they join the Cameroon scam that they call DDR. It simply means that these soldiers have realized that it is time to stop fighting. It is time to preserve life and pursue negotiation. So they have promised not to fight Cameroon. Cameroon have promised not to fight them. They have met on Ground Zero, and they keep their gun, and the Cameroon keep their distance. So that is what is going on. We are sure that will work. It has given us an idea of what will happen if the Cameroon government accept the peace plan paper when that time comes. Then we can now get into temporary ceasefire, we can now get into permanent ceasefire, and we can now have our people return back home. We have our refugees come back home while negotiations are going on. We want to create a situation where our forces are not, our capacity to wage war is not taken away. So we cannot accept to give our guns up or to demobilize when the final solution have not been accepted. But we can go further. We expect to go further than Cameroon because we are the non-state actor. If Cameroon decide to engage in a process to resolve this war through the peace plan paper, we will be in favor of our soldiers being integrated in institutions that are already on Ground Zero, because Cameroon have already created some institutions that are on papers. But if they say, okay, while negotiation goes on, because negotiation can take 1 year, it can take 2 years, and our people cannot wait for 1 year or 2 years, the immediate effect of the peace plan paper is that once it is accepted by the Cameroon government, we will immediately get into prisoners who want to accept the spirit of the peace plan paper to be released under the program, soldiers who want to accept the peace plan paper to start the process of integration under our own administration, under our own regions, institutions, during that process, while maintaining our guns, because we will need guns to protect ourselves even against domestic forces. Our activists who go back home as under this program, the program we are suggesting, they'll have the right to have arms on them for their own personal protection. Ambazonian soldiers who have involved in war will always need protection for themselves against other Ambazonians who may not want peace. So until we get to a final settlement, a final solution, then we'll get to complete disarmament. But we have a robust program, and we benefit from researchers all over the world through these connections that we have attracted to give us proper advice that can help us to design a program that is specific to our territory and our own need. So for the moment, our posture is that our cessation of hostility does not include everybody yet. How Cameroon reacts to it may include our call for everybody. Our call for everybody does not mean that we have command and control, but we believe it is a matter of influence. How influential it is going to be will depend not only on us, Ambazonians, because we believe we are the oppressed people, But when it comes to war, you don't count dead bodies. You don't think about who started the war first, who is going to end the war first, but you think about how to preserve life and how to maximize your chance to obtain a solution. I yield.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. I comment on a VC. Please, you check on the comment section and prepare for the answer, which is on the chat group. While we'll call Mr. Dario, please, can you come up with your question? Mr. Derek, you can come up with your question.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Moderator. I have a question for Mr. James Holmes. Mr. James, I would like you to share with us from past experiences if the ICO has been what has led a process like this before. It would be nice for us to learn from history if your organization has got that experience in history, because it would definitely help us to be able to understand the experience that you brought, you are coming with. On your website, there is an entry that the ICO partners with Kumba, a local council. If you would please just share with us what sort of partnership is that? What sort of work is that your organization did or is doing with the Kumba Local Government Council, which is a community back at home. So I would like to hear from you from those things, because information like that would help, for us to be able to gauge credibility and also to gauge, the ability basically of your organization and the kind of work that you can do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your question. So my answer is in three parts. The first part, in relation to the council you referred to, that was my reference when I spoke at the beginning to capacity building, where I said that we were already doing capacity building work, and we're doing capacity building work with councils, working to establish what their needs are, working to establish where there may be gaps in experience, gaps in personnel needed to deliver local services, to deliver the needs of local people. We've done work on gender equality. We've done work on bringing women into government. So that was my reference to capacity building when I spoke earlier, and that's the work that we're doing. Part two to the question is work that we're doing in the region. So we have worked in Burkina Faso, with Burkina Faso and with Cape Verde on reports for the United Nations, on identifying rights for minority communities. And those pieces of work are public, and those pieces of work can be viewed at the United Nations, on the United Nations website. Our work there is a matter of public record. In Nigeria, we have worked on peace schools. We have worked on bringing young people together in the north of Nigeria, both Christians and Muslim people coming together for sport, coming together for talks. And we have set up a series of peace centers to work with communities in Nigeria. So that's part two, is the region. Part three, your question of do we have a track record of success? I'd like to touch on three places that we have worked to demonstrate that. In Kosovo, as I'm sure all of you or most of you will be familiar, Kosovo is a majority Albanian-speaking country with a small Serb minority of really only 80 to 100,000 people living primarily in the north. But it is a country that has found it very difficult to heal. It is a country where the policing in the north is extremely robust. And it is a country where where much of the Serb population do not feel at ease within Kosovo, and where they feel they do not share the Albanian culture and the Albanian language. What we have done there, and it's been widely covered in the Kosovar press, is working with both sides. We are working to roll out a new tier of local government. Now, it's council, not regional, but the councils will be elected. There will be an opportunity for local people to stand for election and to vote and to deliver local services. So there is a direct relationship between that piece of work and this piece of work. And that has been agreed by all sides. And I myself was in Kosovo signing a document with the Prime Minister and with the Deputy Prime Minister, which was televised and covered in the press. And we helped to negotiate that. We have also created or helped to create a new institution in the central government in Kosovo, the creation of a forum which brings minority groups together in order for everybody to have a say in government policy. And again, the first session of that has already taken place, and I was privileged to be invited to speak at it. And that forum is already generating ideas for the government to look at. So that's Kosovo. In Cyprus, some of you may be familiar with the United Nations sponsored process, which resulted in a big summit in Kran-Montana in 2017, where the two sides got very close. Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots got very close to a peace deal. The Americans were there, the British were there, the Greeks were there, the Turks were there, and they got very close. But it did at the last minute collapse. What we have done is we have brought many of those people back together again, including President Akinci, who was there as one of the chief negotiators. Foreign ministers on both sides, negotiators on both sides. We have brought them back together, this time in a private process, this time without the cameras, without the pressure, without the international attention. And they have completed that work. And the document is now ready. And when I referred in my initial speech, in my initial talk, when I referred to we have an event next month at the United Nations in Geneva, that's what it is, presenting this document, presenting the fact that where the United Nations were not successful, we have been successful. Why? Because people are able to work with us without pressure. People are able to work with us without the press, without the international community, without the fear of whatever they say to us being quoted or becoming public. It allows people to make those compromises. And the Greek and Turkish Cypriot leaders working with us have been able to make those compromises that have allowed them to reach where they've reached. Now, there's a long way to go, very, very long way to go. But it's come far enough that next month we will be in Geneva with the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations at this event, which we are organizing and hosting. And later in the year, we are presenting to the Secretary General of the United Nations himself the progress in Cyprus. The third area that I want to touch on is in the Middle East. And I'm talking about before October and before all the dreadful events that we have all witnessed since October. So I'm talking about before that. But we worked behind the scenes with President Abbas's team and with a team of Israelis who sought peace, including a former prime minister. And I myself flew to Jordan, at which point expected that a deal would be reached. Now, it wasn't. It fell apart at the last minute, and we were not successful. But it got close enough that I landed in Jordan for that final meeting. So we made progress there, but unfortunately we were defeated because not everything could be agreed, and then the horrific events of October came. So I'm sorry that I've given a very long answer to your question, but I think it was a very important question. Do we have the experience? Do we have the capacity? And do we have the track record to support the work that you are all doing? And I believe the answer is a very firm yes. So forgive me for the long answer, but hopefully it was helpful.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. We will not dwell much on that. We'll call Mr. Carol. Please, you come up with your question. Very vivid. We cannot be dwelling on question because we have a lot of places to touch. So come with your question, please. Mr. Carol.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I was invited to this Zoom call. I joined, I will guess, very late, and some of the discussions I might have missed, but from where I started, I just have some worrying concerns. My first concern is I wanted to ask a question about, because when I joined, I heard reference of the international community represented, and then I heard Mr. Holmes speak. I don't know which organization he represents, but from his explanation just now, I get a bit of the work that they have been doing, and based on what he has explained, I just have a concern, right, relating to what they have been engaged in. I don't know which organization, but the concern I have there is it seems they are involved with minority groups, and the concern that I want to raise is Southern Cameroon is not a minority group, right? So we shouldn't classify the conflict in Southern Cameroon, classify the Southern Cameroons as a minority group. And in that regard, the question I would have for Mr. Holmes is whether, what value add does his organization bring, to find a resolution to this conflict, which other stakeholders have not been able to achieve. We've had, the Swiss government has tried and they haven't succeeded. The Canadian government have tried and they haven't succeeded. So how can he convince us that, they would be able to find a solution to the problem, right? And taking into consideration the fact that the Southern Cameroons is not a minority group. It is a sovereign entity that is, fighting for the right to self-determination. Then the other concern I have is with regards to what I heard Capo Daniel, explain. Capo Daniel is someone I know very well, and his current stand, which raises a bit of concerns for me. He's talking about a peace plan and and stuff like that. The question I have is, what capacity does he or his organization have, to advocate or to push for a peace plan, right? That question is based on the fact that the Southern Cameroons is a victim in this circumstance, in this conflict situation that we are talking about. And if he is going all out to talk about peace plan, why not just say we surrender, right? Because talking about peace plan, and because I read on I think an article published by I don't remember which of the media platform. I don't know whether it's VOA or I don't remember quite. What I read there was the peace plan that he is proposing, the Cameroon government has actually rejected that. And so on what basis is he pushing that? And also taking into consideration that in this conflict, there are many stakeholders involved. Even the conflict as it is at this moment, the stakeholders that, I would say formulated or put the conflict at the stage in which it is at this moment, do they agree with his peace plan proposition? If not, how far does he think he can go with that without the other stakeholders, agreeing to that. Just one example, the issue about lockdowns. That was a pronunciation that was made at the beginning of this conflict. The Cameroon government has done everything in its power. It has not been able to stop those that ghost town or Sunday, as we call it, right? So, which means that it is beyond the powers of the Cameroon government to deal with this particular issue, right? And the actors who actually make that pronouncement that there would be ghost towns or country Sunday every Monday, all of them are still alive. Is Capo Daniel in agreement with them with regards to uplifting that ghost town and making a peace deal? And, so those are the concerns that I have.
Thank you so much. We'll not waste much time to be calling people. Before the chair comes on board, we'll call Mr. Avoke to just add your question to that. I'm sure the chairman and the VC too, they are aware, they are taking note of the question. So, Mr. Avoke, please, can you also add your question so that at the same time we will reduce our time? They can answer it simultaneously. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak. I actually joined late, but I will just ask my question from where I begin. Mr. Carol has actually, Mr. Ngam Carol has actually asked all the questions that I wanted to ask. Just to add to what Mr. Carol said, I want to ask Capo Daniel, what is his ratio of the fighting force in Ground Zero? Because he said his dark forces are already engaged in the peace plan, and there are other forces coming on board. I want to know the ratio of his dark forces as compared to the other forces that are fighting on the ground. Secondly, I would like Capo Daniel to tell us the other forces that are on board. And then the second question goes to Mr. Holmes, I think. Yeah. I want to find out from him if it was the People's Advocacy Platform that reached out to them to see how they can mediate their devolution with Cameroon, or it was their organization that reached out to the People's Advocacy Platform, People's Right Advocacy Platform of Capo Daniel. I'm asking this question because I want to know in what capacity that the international group, I think that's the name of, I don't master it, is engaging Capo Daniel. What did they consider? What did they put in consideration to think that Capo Daniel and his organization is the right partner that they think they can push for the devolution of Cameroon? Thank you, Ahir.
Thank you so much. We'll bring in the chairman, then followed by VC. And I've taken up for the ICO question, and if he need be, I will still paraphrase it for him. So over to you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Chair, over to you.
Yeah, I think my mic is on. Thank you very much, Advocate and Ngankaro, for the questions that you have asked. It's very pertinent question that I will provide the answer that we have. And I will start with the issue of, I'll add the question that have been asked by Mark as well on the comment section, where he asks about de-escalation. And this is our answer. He says that, why can we de-escalate when Cameroon have not yet de-escalate? And I will just join all those questions into one and provide the answers. The whole issue is that when a war is going on, it does not matter who starts the war. It matters most who can win if the war continue and who can lose if the war continue. For us as an organization, we consider the status quo as a loss for us because it is our people who are dying and our people are the one bearing the brunt of the war. We also consider the sentiment of our people that are expressed through our organizations and platform. That means we consult with our stakeholders on ground zeros, our quarter head community leaders, and more importantly, the syndicates that represents our civil society. Their sentiment and their wish matters. And based on their feedback, we think that it is time for us to pursue a negotiated settlement and end the war to obtain the maximum possible autonomy we can get to our people. So our decision to de-escalate did not depend on whether Cameroon have de-escalated or Cameroon will de-escalate. But how we proceed further also depend on how Cameroon will reciprocate, whether it is formally or informally. Without us de-escalating, we will not be able to pursue the cause of our people with the international community. As you can hear, organizations such as the ICO and many others, their posture changed towards us greatly once we declare the end of hostility. For the past 1 year since we start campaigning for direct negotiation and concession, we have increased the voice of our people within state parties, and today we are very honored to be able to present this the cause of our people to a greater fora where previously our liberation movement have not been able to reach. So to the question of Ngankaro, who says that our Southern Cameroons, we are not minority, I want him to understand that yes, according to us Ambazonians, we are not a minority people. According to us Ambazonians, we are a country. According to even some of us, we even have governments. We even have already ministers, we have parliamentarians, we have all these things. That is according to us. But we do not have to, we cannot live only within our own environment for us to be able to have independence, because independence will require the international community and how other people think. According to the international community, they consider us Southern Cameroonians as minorities within the state of Cameroon. In the context of Cameroon, that is Cameroon as we see today with the borders that includes our territory and the former French Cameroon territory, the international community sees it as one country. They recognize that territorial integrity as one country. Legally speaking, based on research work that have been done during our engagement in the Canadian talk, it shows that Cameroon is a country that was created on 1st of October 1961 with its territorial integrity and sovereignty as reflected as we see it today. So when we are talking about our people being minority, it is the same that was advocated by the consortium in the beginning of this war. They were insisting that there is an Anglophone problems and we Anglophones are being marginalized. And today we cannot go back and say that we are not Anglophones, we are not being marginalized, simply because we want independence. We must work within the conformity of reality, international reality. Yes, we understand that we see ourselves as independent. We see ourselves as not as minority, but as a state. But we also recognize as an organization that we exist within the framework of the international rule-based system and war order that do not recognize Ambazonia yet as an independent country. The African Charter recognizes the border of every country as it attains its independence. That means the border you have when you attain independence, it is what the African Union recognizes. For Southern Cameroon, how did we attain independence? We attain independence by joining. That means the day we attain independence, our borders with Cameroon is considered as one new country, not French Cameroon country, not Southern Cameroon country, but the Republic of Cameroon that we sometimes refer to as La République du Cameroun. So within the context of Cameroon, we are a minority, but within our own image, we consider ourselves as a free people that have our independence. But we must know that that independence is not yet recognized by the international community as declared by Siseko Ayoktabi or as declared in 1999 by Justice Adobole. So we fight within the international community while we also respect the views of our people who see us as independent. But we exist in the international community's framework. That is why the People's Advocative Right Platform consider the territory of Cameroon as being inclusive. It is not La République French Cameroon. It is not Southern Cameroon. It is both country in one territory. So I hope that answers your question. And in terms of surrendering, as you said that if we are talking about de-escalation and all those things, why don't we just say that we have surrendered? And I want to give you the example of Nwachukwu, the leader of the Biafran state that declares its independence, that was even recognized by Ivory Coast. They fought for military liberation and liberation by recognition. Their recognition they were recognized by a couple of states, but they were never recognized by the United Nations. And when they were losing the war in the military front, Nwachukwu decided to get into negotiation with Nigeria, and you may call it surrender, but it is interpreted in different way. But for us, just like Nwachukwu, he seeks to have a better autonomy for the Biafra people within Nigeria because he did not want a total loss scenario. If Nwachukwu was captured in the battlefield and killed, the people of Biafra could have suffered the same fate that the people of Cameroon suffered when Ernest Nwani was killed in Bafoussam. What happened is that the Makiza who were fighting for independence for Cameroon were now considered as a class of people that needs complete annihilation. The UPC was dissolved, their ideology was totally eliminated, and there is no possibility for future rejuvenation of the spirit of Cameroon for independence. That is why we see Cameroon, even though the president is unpopular, the military is incapable because they lack that moral, patriotic upbringing, which the UPC could have bring to the table if they had survived and strike a peace deal with France. So we believe we are at the crosshair of our own history. If the people of Ambazonia allow Cameroon to kill all the generals that we have, allow Cameroon to neutralize us militarily on the ground, and even keep the war in a manageable situation, then we believe that we will be in a total loss scenario. So for us, it is not a surrender. For us, it is us preserving our nationalism and also securing a pathway for independence, not to allow it to be quenched forever. So in terms of your question about the ghost town, the issue of the ghost town that was declared by the consortium initially, which was a means for popular uprising to show the world that the people of Southern Cameroon are not in peace and they want separation. That ghost town, we have to always measure that ghost town in its effectiveness to accomplish what it was set out to do. Can the ghost town give us independence? Is the ghost town affecting Cameroon government in a way that it will make them to change their behavior? In examining all these issues, we can examine if the ghost town is effective or not. But the People's Right Advocative Platform believe, irrespective of this analysis, the ghost towns remain the only means that our people collectively can express themselves in a space where Ambazonian nationalism or Southern Cameroon nationalism is banned and is treated as an act of terrorism. So the ghost town is important, and it reflects the collective will of our people for a negotiated settlement. We will submit to the people of Ambazonia that the reason why our people continue to resist and fight, it is because there is no acceptable just solution. We believe strongly that the peace plan paper that calls for autonomy, effective autonomy, if obtained and granted, the poll that we have received from our people shows that our people will accept this solution if it is genuine, if it is seen as being practical on the ground, and if it is constitutional for them to be able to choose whether to go further with our resistance or not. So we believe our people can accept to abandon the ghost town if we have devolution as a solution that is practical and that is genuine. Concerning the question of advocate about the ratio of the dark forces to other Ambazonian forces, I want to submit to advocate that this struggle is not about the military wing alone. It is a collective struggle that involves all of us from that territory. The people who are not fighting are also an integral part of that struggle. And the struggle itself relies more in the mandate. The mandate is we are fighting for what? We are fighting for a problem. So long as that problem exists, we will continue to fight and we will continue to resist. But if that problem was to be resolved, we will submit that the whole issue will collapse. How many soldiers do we have? It is not about how many soldiers you have, but it is your amount of influence, because we have submitted to the Ambazonian people that no group in Ambazonia do not have conventional command and control over any force in ground zero. It is all about influence. And I'm one of the most credible person to talk about this topic because in the initial stages, we were involved in creating majority of those groups. We were involved in creating the Tigers of Ambazonia, which I function under as a bishop. Within that groups, I brought in 6 different units across our territory. After I left that group, I continued to function within the defense forces, building other groups in other areas in our territories that I also brought some of those groups to join the ADF. Through my influence, ADF flag was hoisted in all territory in Ambazonia because of the forces and the network that I have created in Ground Zero. And once I withdraw from the ADF, I think you could see to what degree the group shrink back to a Batibo tribal group. So I also was the founder of the British Southern Cameroon Resistance Forces of General Arke. I brought up the name, I draw the charter. I recruited the vast majority of the soldiers in the group. I linked those groups with many other forces with our group. I came up with the idea of the takeover program, which was brought from the theory of the storming of the Bastille, studying the French Revolution. I've been a key player in our self-defense. My network have been very accurate in presenting to our people accurate information from Ground Zero, which is an indicative of our influence and network on Ground Zero. We believe we have the credibility. We believe our organization, seeing from our activities on Ground Zero, bringing our refugees together, we have that credibility, exercising our right as citizens to community organization, community representation, to best represent our people to the best of our capacity, and we are doing just fine. So I will yield to that, and we ask the secretary to continue. I think we are running out of time. We have already gone past the 2-hour mark, and the vice chair, our international partners, they will all round up. And if we have more questions, we understand this meeting is a prelude to the People's Right Advocative Platform meeting that we are calling in Canada, which we hope to invite all the Amazonian organization, important personalities, social media actors, and people who influence and sustain this struggle. So I yield.
Thank you so much, Chair. Like you have already summarized even to the end, which is a good thing. I will call the VC. VC, you just give us a summary for some of the, to clarify, because I think we are really confused here. We are forgetting the content of what we are having. We are going after the container. You know, even the car, when your car got bad, what you try to do is to preserve what is inside the car, not to get bad. I think the whole show here we should be looking at is the interest of the people first. So I think, VC, you have some comment to also add to that. Then we'll move to the next point. Advocate, I will plead with you to reach out to the chairperson so that most of those questions can be answered, because we cannot continue to answer questions. So, VC, you can add something on that.
Yes, okay. Thanks so much, SG, and thanks, Chair, for the input. And I just want to thank all of our brothers for the questions that have been put forward. Mine is not to talk very much from the comprehensive response that the Chair has given. I just have a series of appeals and appreciation. We all present in this room, and most of the people that we have invited them because of our acknowledgement of the unique perspective, the depth of analysis, the depth of appreciation of our challenge, and because of their track record in the past of several engagements. Now, a number of the people that were invited in here, we have been involved with them in different spaces, in different capacity to try and find solutions to these problems. And they like us, are aware of some of the kinds of challenges that we have had to face from within our people and in the course of our engagement with the international community, and the kind of people that the groupings that we're looking to get support from. And it's on the basis of that we have learned a number of lessons, very practical lessons that we think should guide our engagement moving forward, specifically from a diplomacy perspective and our engagement with the international community. And I think that's the one emphasis that has come across very strongly from the engagement and the contributions of the ICO this evening. It's a language that speaks about, I think the way James puts it is to navigate within as close as possible to the terrain of the possible. Now, I want our people to, while in the course of our engagement, acknowledging our deep-seated differences and suspicions and all the different challenges that we have faced in the past, to understand that there are lots of gains to be drawn from the process. Process is as important as intended outcomes in diplomacy. And the importance of us engaging and keeping the engagement going and keeping the engagement ongoing with a range on a diversity of actors has value in itself. And I started my opening remarks of our engagement to say that for anyone who has been thinking very hard about where we are and have been thinking very hard about the kinds of challenges that we have faced in the past, you would understand that there is no silver bullet. There is not a single plan that any single one of us is going to come out there and present to our community, which is going to be endorsed 100% as free of all weaknesses and challenges. Our hope is that we will keep engaging. Our hope is that we will keep engaging with each other so that you can be able to pick out the blind spots in our engagement. You can be able to pick out the holes of our engagement. But our hope is that our engagement will not be from the perspective of contradicting for the sake of contradiction and puncturing holes in the areas for which we already are well aware that they are existing holes, stating the obvious in other terms, but that our engagement is going to be constructive, it's going to be progressive, it's going to be out of a desire to see how to improve what it is that we have on the table and what is it that we are proposing. If you look at the content of devolution that, and when we talk about devolution and we talk about special status and all the federalism and independence and separation and all the different names that we give to the form of the organization of our relationship with the Republic of Cameroon, these are outcomes. At the end of the day, the process of getting to those outcomes requires engagement and requires engagement of actors and stakeholders, domestic actors, international partners. That engagement has to be an ongoing process. It has to be done on a systematic basis, and we need to demonstrate in the course of our engagement that we have a minimal understanding and mastery of the functioning of the international system. We're not supposed to be perfect at it, but we're supposed to be able to understand how and what is the disposition of the people that we are engaging, and be able to adapt and adjust our engagement with them to be able to fit in that space, to be able to articulate the issues. The issues remain the issues. The historicity of our cause cannot be contested. We have done well amongst ourselves and amongst our people in the last 8 years to popularize it, to make it common knowledge. It is in everybody's heart and everybody's mind a complete understanding of what are we dealing with, how did we get to this point, what are the details of our history, what are the details of our fight. There is no argument at that level. Our principal challenge from where we are sitting is where do we go to from here, and how do we proceed from where we are. And as far as that is concerned, the proposals that are contained in this document are the basis of engagement. Engagement with our international partners, engagement with our people on the ground, engagement with all the other groups to say that we have thought about the disposition of the international community, and this proposal sounds very palatable to them. The proving point is that James is here, and James is in a public forum, and our people should understand that it's not everything that will be able to disclose in a public meeting of this nature because everybody is sitting here and everybody is reading. But we have to be able to secure the kind of disposition within the diplomatic community in Cameroon from our engagements for the last couple of weeks and couple of months and around the world, within the UN systems, in Europe, in the US, in Canada, of people who are saying, this looks like something we can work with. And that is the basis on which we are coming back to our people to say, listen, we have a document at hand. We know as well as you do what the limitations are. We know as well as you do what the weaknesses are, potential weaknesses are. But we are asking our people to say, jump on the back wagon, let us ride this wave of the disposition of the international community to articulate our issues. Articulate our issues, put it on the table, get the stakeholders around the table and ask and place specific demands. We have the responsibility in the proposals that we put on the table to make a clear route, a clear roadmap that says these are the following constitutional and institutional reforms that we are seeking that will back the solutions that we seek to get out of this process. This is what this peace plan document is about. Let us talk about confidence building measures that is outlined from a greatest possible attainable autonomy perspective, the kinds of liberties that we want to see. We are saying that this is substance, this is meat we can chew on as a basis of engagement. Now, we do not need to say that this does not stop anyone else who has a strong perspective and a strong conviction about a whole range of other approaches, about a whole range of other kinds of solutions from engagement. For us to say that, for it to come out of our mouth, I think we'll be stating the obvious. For the time being, we are saying we have something on the table, and we want you to have a critical look at it. and point us to the gaps, point us to the weaknesses. But the strongest argument of that which we have on the table, we say that this is attainable. We see how it is attainable. It enjoys support from within segments of our community. We want to broaden that support. It enjoys broad-based support, and I should add, more than some of the positions we have held in the last 8 years from the international community. And there is no fulfillment of the kinds of objectives that we seek that will get to the place that we need, including the post-conflict reconstruction and nation-building objectives that we have, without the support from the international community in terms of critical capital. And I think it's to our advantage that we now have people around the table that have been able to say that we are willing to put X amount in terms of millions of dollars in the reconstruction of your mining sector, your economy, in the building of your health sector, in the building of your educational sector. These are people who are on standby to come on board, to accompany us in the process, to bring the kind of change that we say we are fighting for our people. Is it a 100% watertight perfect solution? Absolutely not. As long as we are human, there will be inadequacies to our proposals. But on the other hand, does it have the potential to move the well-being of our people a couple of steps forward? I think absolutely yes. And it's on the basis of that we are granting all the very smart thinking brains in this forum that are linked to all the other groups to go out there and be advocates and be ambassadors for this initiative, to say that we have something to work with. It's not perfect, but it's perfectible. You can sit here and identify the first 5 criticisms of it. I am telling you that I will be able to add the number 6 to 10 to 15 to 20, just to say that the things that you're seeing as weaknesses, we are not ignorant of. But we believe that we have something at hand that we can work on. And it does not serve any interest. That has been our characteristic of the last 8 years. It does not serve any interest of us to have the kind of mentality that says, whenever somebody comes up with something, we tear it down and wait for the next person to come up with the next thing. On the basis of that, we have not been able to make any significant progress. We are trying to learn from that experience to be able to say, let us start from somewhere. Let's get international partners. Let's walk into the UN system. Let's walk into stakeholders. Let's walk into a country government. Let's walk into the embassies in Yaoundé and tell them that this is our solution for this problem. Back us up and let's support and move this process forward for the well-being of our people. I think that is in a sort of general term, SG will be my appeal to our people and all those who have attended here. And then to answer to very specific questions, and I'll speak in a hypothetical. Somebody asked a question about why did La République deny the peace talks in Canada but wants to negotiate on the basis of a peace plan. Like the chair said earlier on, this plan has not been submitted to the government of Cameroon as yet. We need to be able to, in the way we mobilize ourselves to solve the situation we are facing, have an understanding of the kinds of incentive systems that the people in the Republic of Cameroon are facing, their own kind of internal dynamics, and the extent to which that internal dynamics influences the posture and the disposition of the international community. We do not have the luxury of behaving like spoiled kids when we get to those tables where we are dealing with significant partners. We do have the gray matter, we do have the background, the diplomatic understanding to be able to walk into those spaces and state our case, demonstrating an understanding of how that system works. And we think that above everything else, that's the one very positive and very strong contribution that this proposal from PRAP is putting on the table. We want to be able to take the lead in the diplomatic conversation. We want to be able to take the lead in our engagement with La République du Cameroon and its own domestic internal stakeholders. We want to be able to take the lead to be able to say, we are reasonable people, we are smart people, we are intelligent people, we understand the way the systems function, and this is a proposal we can work with. Now, while we are advancing in this agenda and promoting the approach that we have adopted, it goes without saying that every other of our people that for whose support we are asking, what we are doing is we are taking the lead and providing a specific approach while giving them time to regroup, get their act together, sort out their resource issues, sort out their misunderstandings, sort out their leadership challenges, sort out all the problems that they have already identified as potential problems. Because when we get up to this point where we reach the limits and we do not get the kinds of outcomes, we would have been able to demonstrate the limits of our offering. And then whoever has the silver bullet Then, to be able to take the process to the next stage, we'll take the process to the next stage. It's continuous engagement. It's continuous. It's a process. It's continuous engagement and us going on from one state to another. And we just want to encourage our people to say, give this a chance, give it some thought, point us directly to the aspects that you think should be adjusted, but come on board. And once we are receiving your support in driving this agenda, take time to do what you need to do. And I don't need to put it out here in the public domain and spell it out in plain language. Take time to do what you need to do. So that if we get to a point where the limits of our engagement demonstrate themselves, you are ready to take care of it from wherever you would have taken it to. That would be my engagement in the most politically correct and plain language that we can put it on the table. I yield back to you, SG.
Thank you so much, VC. We really appreciate time well spent. And we have not been able to meet up with exactly what we had on the paper. But we also want to apologize for a lot of the time that we have taken. And we also encourage you that you should not feel bad if your questions will not be answered the way you think. It's a baby step, and we are encouraging all of you to reach out to our vice chair or reach out to our chair. Is an open person. And our organization is open to answer any of your questions, and we are ready for debate and talks. So always feel free. And so we'll step that aside question and to let you know that we are not shying away from your question. But if you have it, you can write it to us. You can engage us, then we can still talk on it. So we only need contribution now before we run up. We will need contribution. What do you think from what you have heard, the questions that have been answered? What your own kind of contribution you think if this organization can do this, it might also help them to go for, because you can see the challenges from the question we have been asking. So obviously their challenges are there. So what are your own contribution to see that you will help the organization? I will give the floor for iPhone 284. iPhone 284, you gave us a good experience from what you have learned. Please, can you share a little bit of contribution, what you think you can help this organization?
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity again. And I do not take it for granted. I thank everybody for their contribution. Thanks everybody for their time they have put it in and the sacrifice you people have been doing. We appreciate it. We, the Ambazonian people. Everyone is contributing to their own direction, and I believe that everyone has a role to play. You know, there is something I believe that an organized minority always scattered and always defeat a scattered majority. And I believe that your organization is getting to a particular direction for now, which is an organized minority. And I have this vision for this organization that is going to be bought by most Ambazonians. And from my observation, I think everything is on track. You see, like the international community organization that is coming here, Mr. Holmes, the representative, putting their reputation on the track. It means that they have studied your plan and every research that you have presented to them, and they can place it alongside with their reputation. It means that we are on the right track. There is something, if the devil is not attacking you, it means that you are doing the wrong thing. So I believe attacks should be coming, and when attacks are coming, it means you guys are doing the right thing. And there should be a lot of division of labor in your organization. Everything should not be boiling down to Capo Daniel. Capo Daniel, I believe this organization is overworking him seriously. There are a lot of mental issues that he could be facing, depression and so on. I believe from the organization, the few people, especially the VC and you yourself that have been chairing the meeting, there's a lot of knowledge in you guys that there are some aspects that you guys should take from the plate of Capo Daniel, that he should relax a bit. Because we, this generation of Ambazonia, we need him. Whether we like it or not, we need him. And we need this organization. I think it's an eye-opener. And you guys will have my full support. I will advocate for you behind. And I've been doing that since Capo can attest to that. And I thank you very, very much for an organization like this. It's a step. It's a baby step, which is going to take us somewhere. And I believe, and I strongly have that conviction by God's grace, and the discernment that this might be a candle in the middle of darkness. Thank you, and I yield here.
Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Siagbo, please, can we hear also from you? What do you think, your contribution? We are running up. Dr. Siagbo, are you there?
Sorry,
Okay, let's hear from you, sir.
Right. No, I'm just I mean the aspect of Capo Daniel saying that we're a minority group. I just it's not an observation. I'm just saying that in case La Republic is listening, if we contribute 60% of the GDP, we are the majority. And I'll tell them again, let them listen. Anybody who contributes 60% of the GDP of a country, that group is the majority. Let La Republic listen very well. We are not going to back down on this kind of schemes. They've killed 9 of my cousins in one evening. This issue is not going to end like this. If the international community, if they are willing, if they are willing for world peace, these two entities must not be together. I leave it there.
Thank you so much, sir. I believe we thank Dr. James, who is also our international community partner. I know they are not scared of most of those things because that's some of the sacrifice they have put it ahead of them. Can we also hear from Dr. Dario? Please, do you have something to say before we call the chairperson, the ICO, and the chairperson to maybe give us a brief analysis?
No, nothing from my end. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Okay. Our international partners, you have heard some of the questions, and some are still boiling, and we know they have a lot of questions, and they are so aggressive. So with all these questions and their reaction, their responses, what do you have to say, sir? What can you really tell us? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Some of the questions were now a little while ago, so I'll briefly address those, and then I would like to summarize from our perspective. So I have never used the phrase minority in relation to your communities. We do specialize in minority work, but Cyprus is not a minority issue. The Middle East is not a minority issue. So we're not exclusively that, and that was not my phrase. In terms of what I think we can bring to this situation, I feel I've set that out as clearly as I can today. But that leads me to my next point, which is that it is not about our view of what we can bring. It is about your view of what we can bring. This is your initiative. This is your process, and we are here to support you. And one person in reference to us referred to the push for devolution. We are not pushing for devolution. We are pushing to support you in your work. And I just want to be clear on that, that is our role. Our role is not to take a leadership role. Our role is to take a supporting role. And it is your place, all of you, to take a leadership role. I'd like to just end from our perspective with something which I hope is helpful and also hopeful. It was asked why we were working with Capo Daniel, and I would like to say to you that we want to work with all of you. And in fact, we will put into this group chat, we will put an email address now. And I hope that some of you will take the opportunity to contact us and to work with us and to review the paper with us and to give us as an independent organization your feedback, so that we can help you, as many of you as possible, to get on to the same page, because it's your paper, it's your initiative, it's your future. Where I want to end positively, and I want to pay tribute to the chairman, to Capo Daniel, is my experience in other places that we have worked and in history, is that history is moved by those who take bold actions. They're not always popular, they're not always easy, but it's those who have the courage to turn the dial that impact millions of lives and lead to breakthroughs. So the answer to the question of what is different to Switzerland, what is different to Canada, the difference, as I've said today, is that you are now in the zone of the possible. This meeting has been about something that can work. This meeting has been about something that I believe could well be successful. And Capo Daniel has taken that step and has talked about a cessation of hostilities and has talked about a deep and meaningful devolution. That is the zone of the possible. And therein lies the hope of something different to Canada, different to Switzerland, and different to the last few years. And that's why, for us, we've been very pleased to be here. We've been very pleased to meet him. And I look forward to meeting others of you, working with others of you, building those relationships so that we can support you in the next steps. But I think there is hope. And the hope comes from the bold moves that have been discussed today, doing something different. And several of you have said it, doing something different. And the cessation of hostilities and a deep and meaningful devolution package is very much in the zone of the possible. And we're here to help you. And I hope that we will hear from a number of you. So that will be it for me today. But thank you very much. We've listened carefully, and I'm very grateful that we've been invited.
Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate. And the link is on the group chat. Like you have said, you can copy the link and reach out to them if you still have some doubt or you really want to work with them, like he has rightly said. Advocate, do you have a contribution or something to make your hand still up? Or we give you some few minutes? Please, we are running out of time. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much. I don't have a lot to say. What I just want to say is that I will advise Mr. James to do more research on our case because I think his organization is more experienced with minority groups. Our case is state succession, so it's a little bit different from what his organization has been working with. And I want him to also try to contact other groups because from Capo Daniel experience, I don't know. I asked a question if it was Capo Daniel and his organization who reached out to him or they reached out to Capo Daniel. But in his expression, I think it was Capo Daniel organization that reached out to them to support them in their peace plan. But I just want to insist that Capo Daniel position is not likely the position of the people. Because I think his organization does not have that capacity to push for the devolution of Cameroon on behalf of our people. So I will advise that before he deeply engaged into this, he should try to carry out a censor to make sure that he is dealing with the right person that can actually create the type of impact that he wants. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And that is the reason why he called for the meeting and gave people like you, intellectuals like you, such invitation, so that you can come in and also do that kind of contribution. So we are also appealing to you as an organization, please. We will actually need your help in areas like that because it's not all about talking. You should do more research. We also need your assistance. Like it's all for one for all. Like what our international community partner has said, they are here to help us, and we as well, we are here to help ourselves. So we will gladly and we will be very happy to receive your suggestion, your contribution, be it in writing, be in what that will be sent to the organization, and we'll review it, and we'll gladly implement it if it's okay. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So at this point, we will call the chairperson to give a remark, a closing remark. We are also calling on him to see there is also a need that if there can also be another Zoom meeting, because for me, I believe people still have things to say, things to talk, and a lot of people, they need to join. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, SG, for a wonderful job. And we want to thank everybody who have taken your time to come here. We really appreciate that. And it means, for me in particular, it means a lot. And we sent out invitation to, I think, 21 people. And then we had 28 people that confirmed. That means some people came up and they confirmed. But we are very appreciative of the ones who turn up, and I think it's also a mutual respect. I want to thank you all for participating in this exercise. This is a prelude to the physical meeting we are planning here in Edmonton. We will have that conversation on how we will go about it. Our hope is that as we have had this wonderful opportunity to present our cause to member states of the United Nations, we take it seriously. It is our belief as an organization that this struggle is collective. That is why we have been very transparent to bring this opportunity that this organization, the ICO, that we have successfully appealed to support us in our vision, that they also should have an opportunity to meet all of you guys and all of the various Ambazonian stakeholders, for you people to be able to use them as well. And even other organizations, we should be very open to share opportunities and to encourage other visions that we may not agree with. That is the spirit we believe we should carry on going forward. And I wanted to conclude, but I will just give a last remark to the question that advocate asks, that Cameroon have reacted to our cessation of hostility. Do we change our position because of that reaction of Cameroon? What is our position? We had put out a document to Cameroon and also to the international community of our reaction. And what I would answer to him is that the Cameroon government, when Minister Julie of Canada announced that we had a negotiation in Canada, the Minister of Communication in Cameroon came out to say that the negotiation never even took part. So we know that that was not the reality. So Atanganjipo have reacted to say that the Cameroon government do not negotiate with us. But we also, the same like the reaction of the Canada talks, we also know that that is not the reality, because the Cameroon government is actively engaged. The President of the Republic of Cameroon have put out a presidential decree that authorizes the follow-up committee of the Grand National Dialogue to continue engagement with the separatists and non-state actors. The Prime Minister of Cameroon have made such declaration. In their last meeting in Boya, they reiterate that they will negotiate, and they are continuing to negotiate. Negotiation and those conversations are ongoing, and they will continue to go. So the statement made by Atanganjipo, we consider it as part of the saboteurs, what we call the dogs of war, that benefits from this war and they want this war to continue. We also acknowledge that within our side, we have similar people who react not based on the interests of our people, but based on their benefits that they have in this war. So we dismiss what Atanganjipo said, because legally speaking, it does not reflect the law of Cameroon that are open door for negotiation. And secondly, we based on our communication with Cameroon, some of our partners that help us to transmit the letter for cessation of hostility reach out directly to the Minister of Communication of Cameroon, whose response is still pending. And after Atanganjipo made that statement, they reach out to him again. If the Cameroon government statement is what Atanganjipo said, the reaction from him was that Atanganjipo gave an interview. They were not conclusive if that statement was actually an official communication from the Cameroon government. So far as the People's Right Advocative Platform is concerned, that was Atanganjipo's individual opinion, and he did not put out a written statement. The Cameroon Minister of Communication have failed to confirm that reaction, and so we continue to engage in our policy of non-conflict. We believe that this path we have chosen will give us the maximum opportunity to pursue our vision. And I see our brother from Australia is also online. I am very appreciative of your participation, but as they say, every good thing must come to an end. We hope to build the momentum to physically meet and make sure that we adopt best practices, best representation that will best represent our people. As you see behind me, the people's first. We want to put our people's first in our activity and also be transparent. We invite all Ambazonian groups to meet and write to the international community groups. We have mandated the international community group officially to meet, engage with all Ambazonian groups, all Ambazonian personalities, all Ambazonian activists and group administrators in social media, because we recognize the power of social media, so that they can independently hear from other people, other visions, with the hope that our people will have the maximum opportunity, because we work for their people. We are part of their people. We are humble citizens, and we are serving our people to the best of our ability. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for attending this meeting. We will call it a day, and we will pray that the good Lord should help our people who are suffering from this war that they never chose. And I appreciate your all participation and hope to hear from you back in the backside. Thank you very much. We conclude the meeting. Bye-bye.